Hey, it's Ruby. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a pretty different video. I don't think I've ever done an unhaul video because usually I'll just post things and sell them immediately. But this time we have a good little bunch because I went through my unhaul shelf. If you missed that, I'll link it up here where I started like a preliminary unhaul shelf where I'm putting books as I go. Sometimes I literally wake up and I look at my shelves as I do every day. And I think it's your time. It's your time. You need to move on. You need to go somewhere else. And so that's what's happened. Some of these books, a lot of these books actually, I have not even read, which is bad. And so I feel like because I've had them for so long and have not picked them up, it's time for them to go to a new home. I did list these on Pango, so if you want to check them out, they're going to be on there. If you don't see it, they might have already sold because I listed them right now and a lot of them did sell, but there's still plenty and I'll still be adding more as we go. So yeah, it's kind of like bittersweet because obviously I love books. I love to collect books, but I told myself at the end of last year that I was only gonna buy books that I really wanted. I was really gonna try and read them first on Libby or Hoopla if they're like not super new releases before I purchase them. And that's why I created that spread, the like to buy spread, the shopping list, if you will, because I just want to be really mindful of what I'm buying, but you know, I don't know. Let's just go through them. So the first batch of books actually go together. They're from the same series. I think this is book 1 and book 3 of this series. I was just missing book 2, and I mean, they are great. They're in great condition, but I just don't love these covers. Which, yeah, it is like such a nitpicky thing, but as I said, if I don't absolutely love my books, I'm not going to hold on to them. And I just don't love these covers. The Goodreads reviews on these were pretty good, which is why I bought them. But I just don't like the covers. So it's just that simple. So yeah, these are going to get passed on to a new home, and I'm sure they're good. Lucy Score is a beloved romance author. So yeah. Goodbye. Oh, also one thing about me, I don't really love butterflies. In real life, on paper, like I'm just not a butterfly girl. Never have been, but the next one we have is another romance read. It is The Lost Love Song by Minnie Dark. And the reason that I'm passing this along is because I don't think that I'll be reaching for it, because it kind of has, it might be sad, and I do not like being sad. I do not like crying in books, in movies, in any type of media. So the reason I think it might be sad is because she loses someone, so she's dealing with grief and loss. It says concert pianist Diana is finally ready to marry her longtime fiance Ari. She's even composing a beautiful love song for him, which she finishes while on tour. Before she can play it for him, though, tragedy strikes and Diana is lost to Ari forever. So it's just not something that I want to read. And it sounds really interesting, which is why I bought it. And the fact that it has music in it, I felt like I was really going to love it because I play violin. So yeah, I might read this and love it, but I'm going to pass it along. So yeah. Then we have 2 romance books that are kind of giving me similar vibes, even though they're not by the same author. But this is Grayson's Vow by Mia Sheridan and Me Without You by Kelly Rimmer. I had Archer's Voice also, but that one sold and it's been shipped. So yeah, these 2 romances, I'm just really not feeling these because I read Archer's Voice and I didn't love it, which I know that that book is beloved by so many people, but it was just very mid to me. I didn't really love it. Because of that, I'm getting rid of these because I feel like it's going to be the same thing, same vibes. But I know somebody out there will enjoy them because, like I said, that book is so beloved. Like that special edition at Barnes & Noble about Archer. No, it's not just at Barnes and Noble. It's like everywhere. The special edition with the sprayed edges and like Mia Sheridan's annotations is so beautiful. I went to Barnes the other day and I saw it, but I just didn't love the book. So I'm going to be passing these along also. Then we have the very last one, the one that I literally just added right now. The Weight of Feathers by Anna Marie McLemore. Yes. This I've had for years at this point. I've had this book for so long and I never picked it up. The reason that I picked this up was because Hannah from A Clockwork Reader, I used to watch her channel all the time, like years ago. I was obsessed with her. I still think she's great. But she was obsessed and probably still is with the Night Circus, and she recommended this book as something similar to the Night Circus, I think, or she like brought it up. She brought up this book, I think it was her. And a lot of people do compare it to the Night Circus. It's a romance book and it does follow two people that are in like the circus, I guess. They're rivals and enemies, and it says the Palomas swimming in mermaid exhibitions and the Corbias former tightrope walkers. So yeah, it's like forbidden romance essentially, and I'm not really feeling that. And it's been years, so if I have not picked it up, I probably will not. And then this other one is All's Well by Mona Wad. Mona Wad is beloved. She wrote Bunny. A lot of people really like All's Well, but this has two things that I don't know if I'm gonna love. She's dealing with chronic illness and she is very dramatic because she is an actress. And we have Shakespeare. I remember trying to read what was it called? If We Were Villains, We Were Villains by Elmo Rio. And the Shakespeare aspect of that book was just not for me. So if there's more Shakespeare in here, I just don't see myself loving this. But I could be wrong. However, I'm passing it on because I've had it for a bit and I haven't even had the smallest desire to pick this up. So it's going. Then we have 2 books in a series. So I think there's 4 total in this series. It is the 3 Dark Crowns series by Kender Blake. And these actually do sound really interesting to me and do sound like something that I might actually like. But I've had these for so long and I have not picked them up. So I think I'm going to part with them. Also, I like to have my fantasy series in hardcover, so maybe I'll pick this up like on Libby, and if I really love them, I might pick them up in hardcover in the future. But I've had these for a really long time and never actually picked them up. But like I said, the premise sounds really cool. We follow 3 sisters, they're triplets. And I think in this world, it says, in every generation on the island of Fenberg, a set of triplets is born. 3 queens, all equal heirs to the crown, and each possessor of a coveted magic. And I believe they literally have to like fight to the death, and then the last one standing is the one that will become queen, which sounds really interesting, but I don't know why I just haven't picked them up. And like I said, I will read them on Libby or something, and if I love them, then I'll pick them up in hardcover, but these are going to a new home. Next up, we have I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica L. Sanchez. I picked this up because I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican American, and I don't know. I literally just picked it up for that reason. Also, when I read the blurb online, I felt like I could connect to it, but it is YA, and at this point, I've had this for years and have not read it. But it says, perfect Mexican daughters do not go away to college. They do not move out of their parents' house after high school graduation. Perfect Mexican daughters never abandon their family. But Julia is not your perfect Mexican daughter. That was her sister Olga's role. Then a tragic accident leaves Olga dead and Julia reassembling the shattered pieces of her family. So this is very much like traditional Mexican families where the woman is a caretaker and is meant to stay home and take care of the family. And even more modern families like mine, you're still expected to, go off, go to college, have a family, have children, but also provide for your parents and take care of them. And that's just kind of like your role as a child, which is not always how it is in other cultures, but it very much is in mine, at least. So yeah, I just thought that I would relate to this, but it is YA, so maybe I'm a little too old for it now. I waited a little too long. Like I said, I've had this for a couple years, so it's time to pass on. It is an amazing book. It was a finalist for the National Book Award. And I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I think at this point, I've just aged up out of this group. And then we have a Colleen Hoover book. I have another one still hanging out in that unhaul shelf, but I'm not ready to part with that one. That one's Verity. However, I might read it and then part with it, but I want to read it first because it's just not like the typical romance that Colleen Hoover writes. I have never actually read a Colleen Hoover book ever, not a single one, so I don't really know what's her deal, like what her writing's like, but I've heard so much because people love to hate this woman. And I don't understand the hate because I've never read the books. However, It Ends With Us is one of those books that people say is super toxic, has a super toxic relationship, and I don't think that I want to read that. Plus, the movie's coming out, which I probably won't watch, but I do love Blake Lively, but I still probably won't watch it. So I just feel like toxic romance at this level is probably not something I'll enjoy. I do like a little bit of toxicity, I'm not gonna lie, but the way that people describe this, I feel like it's just gonna be too much. However, I do know that Coho has a lot of fans. A lot of people do love her books, so I hope that this finds its way to someone that's really gonna love it. We have a YA book, which is very YA. The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. I'm definitely too old for this book. I did read it. I didn't love it, and I do feel that it's because I should have read this like a decade ago at least, and I didn't. I am too old for it, so I'm passing it along to someone else. Then we have one that I was not going to get rid of. I actually wanted to keep it, but it does have a little teeny imperfection here, and it did bother me. That's literally the only reason that I'm getting rid of it, because I actually did want to keep it, but I've already committed to unhauling it, and as soon as I posted it, it actually sold, so this one already sold. But I'm kind of like upset about this one because I do want to read it. I'm gonna have to look it up to see if I can find it on Libby or Pango, because it's just like a cute little romance, and that's exactly what I like to read. But like I said, this one has a new owner already, so I'm gonna ship it today. And then we have Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and I'm selling this one because I have another copy, so I don't need 2 copies of the same book. So yeah, I'm gonna be parting with this one, but in this one I think we have like fairies, and it sounded interesting. It says it's difficult to find husband in Regency England when you're a young lady with only half a soul. And I read Regency England and Half a Soul, and I was immediately hooked, and I was like, I need to read that. So yeah, I already have my own copy, so gonna pass this one along. Next up, we have a bunch of Christmas books. I already read them. I think the only one I didn't read was this one, so this is Christmas, but I'm gonna pass it along because this is part of like the same world as book 1. So this is, I believe, book 2, but you don't have to read them all, and you don't have to read them in order. But I'm just gonna pass on it. I already had it and I didn't read it. I didn't pick it up, so it's time. I have other Christmas books, so I'm gonna pass these ones along because I already read them. So I ended up actually really liking most of these. I think this one was my lowest rated one, and even at that, like, I don't regret reading it. It just wasn't like the best thing ever. This one was a 5-star read for me and one of my favorite books, and I have another copy, so I'm passing this one along because I want somebody else to read it. I love it so much. I literally gave it 5 stars. And then yeah, we have The Afterlife of Holly Chase. We have All I Want for Christmas, which is like a voice type show setting, which is kind of cool. Small Town Romance. like royal romance, but he's like an employee of the royal family, and then a really cool reimagining on A Christmas Carol. So all of these are gonna be going to new homes. Also, I really hope somebody picks up In the Holidays, because like I said, that one's a 5-star read for me. I love it, and I think this one is like a cult classic. A lot of people really love this one too. It was good, but I feel like once you've read it, I don't know, I feel like once I read it, I don't need to reread it, but I know that there's people that read this every single year, and I can see it. I can see why. And then we have the hardcovers. So I have 3 hardcovers left, because I did sell a couple, but they already shipped out. I sold like A Study in Drowning. I sold a couple. I don't really remember all the ones that I sold. I sold like a Fairy Loot book. Yeah, it was a Fairy Loot book, A Study in Drowning. I might sell a couple of my Fairy Loot books, but I want to give them a try first. But like I said, I still have like 35 books that I may potentially unhaul. But I'm gonna try and give them a shot first before unhauling them. So this is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, and the reason that I'm unhauling this copy is because I have the Fairy Loot edition of this book. So I don't need 2 copies of the same book. This is the Book of the Month edition. But like I said, yeah, the only reason I'm getting rid of this one is because I already have a hardcover copy, and this is another hardcover copy. So hopefully this goes to a good home, somebody that will enjoy it, and it'll be loved. Same thing with this one. I'm only unhauling it because I already have my own copy. I like to have my romances in paperback, and this is hardcover. Ideally, I'm a hardcover girl, but I've talked about it before, I think in my bookshelf tour, which I'll link up here. Definitely check it out. I think that's like my favorite video that I've filmed and posted, because it's just so fun to go through all the books. But as I said there, I like to have my fantasy series in hardcover and pretty much everything else in paperback, but especially romances I want in paperback. So I'm gonna pass this one along so somebody has a nice hardcover copy of The Long Game. And then we have this one. This one took a little convincing on my part to get rid of, but I'm gonna do it because I think that this might be a little young for me. It is a YA book. It does sound interesting, but again, it's a YA book. The main character is 16, I believe, so I'm gonna pass this along. It's a hardcover copy. I'm sure somebody else will want this. And that is it for now. We had like 22, I think I counted, books that we unhauled today, and there's gonna be more to come, guys, because like I said, I have 35 more, and I don't see myself keeping all of those books. And I do have quite a bit. Like just on that shelf right now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 series. I want to at least read the first book. If I'm not like fully vibing with the first book from the get-go, I'll just unhaul the whole series. That way somebody can have like the whole series. Yeah, because I got to get ready for this move. I cannot move more than 300 books, and that's where I'm at right now. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed spending time with me today, going through the unhaul pile. I always list my Pango down below, and I have a sale going on. I'll keep it up probably indefinitely until I decide to pull it, but I've had it for so long, I just, whatever, it's up there. So hopefully you get to look at most of these, because I will be posting them all. But again, if they're not on there, then they probably sold. Like I said, thanks for hanging out. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon with another one. Bye.